guys. I thought I would do an update on the top 10 authors I wanted to read in 2022. I did read them all, so I managed to do that kind of, I don't know, I think by September or August or something like that. Just really hadn't had a chance to give an update on it, so I figured I would go ahead and do that. You can see the full list of the top 10 authors I wanted to read in 2022 over here. The main reason I put authors on these lists there were a few reasons. Some of them were because it's an author that I'd wanted to read for a long time and I just never got around to it. I tend to kind of end up getting books for review and like see something that comes out that's interesting, and so those newer books take precedence over older ones that I've had on my wish list that I really want to read. The other reason they went on the list would be because I had a debut, a book from a debut author to review. So that would be the second reason they were on the list. And I can kind of comment on that. I do think there were also a couple on here that were Kindle Unlimited authors that I had really wanted to check out, but just never got around to. So these are the 10 authors that I wanted to read in 2022 and did read. For a quick summary, I wasn't very successful in finding new authors that I liked. A lot of these were misses for me, but there were a couple that I really ended up enjoying. Okay, so the first author that I have on this list is Jeff Summers, and he writes the Avery Cates series. First book in that is The Electric Church. This is like a cyberpunk series. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5. I did finish it, but I just didn't really love it. It's super, super violent. As I said, it's a cyberpunk world. There are some very quirky characters in here, but they were very shallow. They didn't have a lot of depth to them. It was pretty hard to engage with in general, and the plot didn't make a lot of sense if you sat down and thought about it. The whole premise on this one is there's this electric church that has these monks that are doing things, and the main character, Avery Cates, is trying to unravel kind of the mystery behind some of the stuff that's going on there. So it's kind of like a mystery / cyberpunk with a little bit of a noir feel to it. A lot of action, a lot of violence, a lot of swearing. And I don't mind violence and swearing in general, but when it's so over the top and kind of gratuitous, it didn't add a lot to the story. I don't know. I didn't like that one overall. I didn't read any more of the series. I was kind of disappointed because I was hoping to find kind of a serial cyberpunk series that I would enjoy, but that was not it. The second author on the list is a little bit of a cheat because it's Milla Vane, and that's also Malhan Brooks, who I've read a lot of, who wrote the Iron Seas series that I really loved. She started writing under Milla Vane and wrote the Gathering of Dragons series. This was okay. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was a barbarian fantasy type of thing and very romance heavy. It had an enemy to lovers type of theme going on. Likes for it. I really liked the world and the characters. It was a really interesting world, and the characters were very engaging and well done. What I disliked is it was just, yeah, okay. I'm trying to read my notes, which I scribbled really small, but the things I didn't like about it was in it feeling a little bit long, and there were a lot of sex scenes. I don't mind romance and sex in my books, but a lot of very long sex scenes. And I think the other thing I didn't like about it is the characters talked in their heads about how uncertain they were they deserved each other over and over and over. And I feel like a lot of romantic books tend to do this, and it always bothers me because it gets so repetitive. So that was okay. I decided not to read any more books in the series. It was just long, and even though I really, really love the world and the characters, I had those other issues with it. All right. Third one on the series is a very popular author. A lot of people are probably going to be upset that I didn't like this author, but that's Nicholas Sparks. And in particular, I wanted to read The Notebook because I had heard it's this wonderful, timeless romance that's so important to read and so important to read as you age and all of this. I gave it 3 out of 5. It was okay. I finished it. It's pretty short. I just thought it was very overly dramatic and very repetitive. it was kind of depressing as well. I would have really liked, so the way the story works is you like there's two characters in a nursing home together, husband and wife, and the wife is not doing very well, and the husband is also starting to have some dementia issues and needs some care. And they go back and they kind of relive parts of their life and then go to the present. I was a little bit disappointed that you don't spend a lot of time reliving their past. There's a lot more of them kind of wandering around the nursing home. And I would have liked to spend a little more time in the characters' past because I think that would have made me more engaged with them and then made me sympathize more with what they were dealing with in the present. That's my main issue with it. And I like my books with a little bit of humor, and this one was just so overly dramatic. It seemed like it was trying really hard to pull at your heartstrings and really hard to make you depressed and sad and hopeful. And it is, I guess it is a good look at characters who really love each other. And if you have never been in a relationship where you really love the person you're with, maybe it has more impact. But my husband and I have been married 22 years and very much enjoy each other's company. And so I didn't see this to be as much of a revelation maybe as it is to some people, that people would continue to love each other in a relationship. I don't know. Anyways, I wasn't a huge fan. It did not make me want to pick up any more Nicholas Sparks novels, and I don't know if that's his best book, but if he has other books that are good, he's a super popular author, so I won't mind trying another one. So comment down below if you have a different Nicholas Sparks book that I should try out. All right, the fourth author on the list is a debut author, and that is Maria Adelman. She released a book called How to Be Eaten. I really was excited about the concept of this book. It's a modern day support group for women who have survived fairy tales, and of course we're talking more dark fairy tales. And the women kind of meet up and they have some time talking to each other, and then they each kind of go through their story. This is another one I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I really didn't like it that much. It was okay. I like the concept. I think it's a cool concept, but the writing wasn't done very well. The story wasn't very cohesive. The way you go from character to character got a little confusing, and it's very preachy about modern society dangers to women. And like, all the women made some pretty bad decisions to end up where they ended up. But it gets very heavy-handed about preaching, like, I mean, the way this book is spinning it, like, I can't walk outside my door because I'm a woman because I'm going to be victimized. You know, I just thought it was a little heavy-handed in that aspect. I will be keeping an eye out for other things that Adelman writes because I really like the concept here. I just thought the writing was really sloppy. And again, it was a little heavy-handed on some of the political commentary about the safety of women in modern society. All right, number 5 is another, I believe it's a debut author. I was super excited to read this, and again, didn't like it very much. I gave it 3 out of 5. This author is Leslie Vedder, and her debut novel was The Bone Spindle. I know a lot of people love this book to death. I was not one of them. It was advertised as a humorous young adult fairy tale mashup. I didn't like this. This was one of those weird books that's marketed as a young adult, and it definitely has like content that might be considered young adult, but the plot and the characters are super simple and straightforward, and the writing style is super simple, so it comes across as more like a middle grade level read. And it was one of those ones that kind of confused me. Like, what am I reading here? Am I reading a middle grade book? Am I reading a young adult book? It wasn't really complex enough for a young adult book. So that was a big issue I had with it. The other thing was the pacing was super slow on this. I just didn't find it very interesting. I do know the second book is coming out, and it actually grabbed my eye, and then I went back to see what I thought of the first book again, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm not going to pick up the second book. I usually really like fairy tale mashup type of stories, but this one was just so, I don't know, the writing style, I don't know how to describe it other than simple and kind of stark. Like, I just didn't enjoy it. All right. 6th author on my list is another debut author. That is Gina Chen, who wrote Violet Made of Thorns. This I did give 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. It's a dark fairy tale with very gray, complex characters. You don't really like any of the characters in this story, but they all have reasons for being how they're being, and they're all doing things that are a little bit shady, but they're trying to make the best out of their kind of bad situation. Um, my biggest complaint about this is I didn't like the characters, although I appreciated the characters. And then I think my biggest complaint was the world building was super thin here. Like, it's a neat story. I liked the plot. I thought the characters were entertaining and intriguing. But the world building was pretty thin. So that's why I got 4 out of 5 stars rather than a higher rating. I do plan on continuing the series. It was very unique how the characters are made and the plot they're dealing with, and it is kind of a little bit of a fairy tale fantasy feel to it, so I will definitely continue with that one. All right, the 7th author in the series is another debut author, and that was, oh my gosh, I can't barely read my writing, Anne Fraistat, I think that's how you say it, and she wrote What We Harvest. This is another one I give 4 out of 5 stars. I like this one. I didn't love it because it was a little short and it was, I don't know, the writing could have been a little better, but there were things about this I really liked. This is a super creepy read about a farm that starts to get this like plague that starts to affect people and animals. So it starts out like it's going to be a super creepy like zombie read in this isolated town. But then it takes some pretty crazy twists and turns. It ends up being something completely different that I did not expect. So I really enjoyed the atmosphere in the town and the characters. And I also really enjoyed some of the crazy turns it took in the second half of the book. You're just like, whoa, this is not how I was expecting this to go. So I would definitely recommend it if you like creepy zombie reads that end up being kind of something different. And I'm not going to say what was different because that would spoil it. But this is, and I hope I'm saying her name right, Fraistat is definitely an author I'm going to keep an eye on because I was pretty impressed by this book. So, all right. The 8th author I have on the list is a very popular author that I had not read yet, and that's Anthony Doerr, I think it is. And he wrote, Cloud Cuckoo Land, All the Light We Cannot See. I ended up reading Cloud Cuckoo Land, and I absolutely loved it. It is long, and there are a lot of characters to keep track of, but the way all the stories from the characters' threads were woven together was really amazing. And I really also loved how like you're in different times, you're with different characters, and everything just comes together in such a unique way. And I really loved that. So when I do my books I want to read in 2023, All the Light You Cannot See will definitely be on there. I immediately went and like put every book he's written onto my wish list because I was super impressed with Cloud Cuckoo Land. I liked it a lot. I tend to like I don't know if I'd read books like that all the time because it's good to have some fun guilty pleasures in there, and this was more of a complex literary type of read, but I really loved it. All right, the 9th author I have on my list is a Kindle Unlimited author that I wanted to check out, and that is Dan Willis. He writes the Arcane Case book series. It's a Depression era sort of investigative urban fantasy, so kind of a 1920s urban fantasy. I actually didn't finish this. I read 70% of it, and I just got to the point where I just didn't care anymore. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I usually give do not finish this 3 out of 5 stars. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. There was some things I liked. There was some intriguing magic in here, and having it said the 1920s was kind of cool. There was a lot I didn't like, though. I didn't like the character. I didn't like how the magic system was done. It felt really incomplete and immature. It's this very hard-boiled noir type style. So as a part of that, whether intentionally or not, the women in the story are not treated well. They're minor characters. There's a lot of dull, sweetheart, go do this for me kind of stuff going on. I think my main takeaway from this, and I'm not trying to sound sexist or racist, but this is very much intended for a white male audience. That is who the series is written for. I could not relate to these characters. I didn't like how the women were treated in this book. I didn't like the magic system. I didn't like the plot. I didn't like it. So again, I did not finish that. I got about 70% of the way through and then just set it aside. Author number 10 is another Kindle Unlimited author I had really wanted to read, and that is Angela M. Hudson. She has a couple series that she offers through Kindle Unlimited, and Dark Secrets and the Evernight Fae are the two main ones. I went ahead and picked up the Evernight Fae series. I'm always into a good dark fairy series. I ended up reading the first 4 books in this series. I think there's like 8 of them or something like that. The first one I really enjoyed. The main character's super snarky and funny, and you know, they're pretty short and they're kind of a fluffy, fun read. I will say, even with the first book, the dialogue between characters is kind of awkward and the writing can be a little disjointed. This is definitely like a self-published deal. It could have used some polish for sure. I was hoping that would get better as I went through the series, because as I said, I really enjoyed the main character and I enjoyed the different races of fairy and stuff like that. But by the 4th book, I just couldn't take it anymore. I think my ratings got steadily lower. Like the first one was 4, the second one was 4, the third one was, I gave 3 out of 5 stars, and then the 4th one I gave 2 out of 5 stars. I think the thing that disillusioned me as I got through the series is our main protagonist. She gets pretty powerful, and she's like all about girl power. But there's a big theme of like girl power, and it's very blatant throughout the series. But then she like lets people abuse her and hurt her, and she's like, it's okay, they love me, they're my friend, you know. And it was very at odds with what the author was trying to portray her as. Like her actions didn't match her words. And on top of that, at one point they get into a whole thing like, oh, well, you can't be friends with men unless you want to have sex with them and all this kind of stuff. And just another very like immature ideology that I didn't understand. So I don't know what to say about this one. As I said, I enjoyed the first couple books. It's a very like funny, humorous character. I like some of the dark fairy elements and the races that were created and all of that, but it's not very well written and the dialogue's pretty awkward. And I was hoping that the author was kind of like going to grow some through the series and improve on those aspects, but it didn't improve, it got worse. So those are the top 10 authors that I read in 2022. Again, for a quick recap, the ones that I would read again, definitely Anthony Doerr. I really love Cuckoo Land. I thought he's probably top on this list. And then the other 2 that I will probably continue reading is Gina Chen. I'll continue the Violet Made of Thorns series. And Fraistat, I'll keep an eye out for any other standalone books that she comes out with. But the rest of them were pretty much a bust. So yeah, not a great year for new authors that I'm going to read. I will be following up in a couple weeks with the top 10 new to me authors that I want to read in 2023. I actually have the list, so that is awesome. Anyways, on that, I hope you enjoyed this update, and I will talk to you guys pretty soon. I'm recording all of these kind of back to back because I'm on winter break, so I'm not working. And they'll be posted, I think, Monday, Wednesdays for a few weeks here, which is what my video schedule used to be before I started studying for the patent bar. So anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Hope you have a great week of reading ahead of you. Bye.